Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with the finale of our F1 22 Haas Road to Glory. Yes, round 22 of the season has brought us here to Abu Dhabi. If you missed out on the bumper episode that went live last week from Brazil, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. But quickly as well, I just want to say a massive thank you once again for 100,000 subscribers. This is the first video that I'm recording on the main channel since we hit that milestone. I mean, just to think about 100,000 people are clicking that big red button is just honestly, I struggle to sort of think about it, to be completely honest with you. You know, that is just an insane amount of people, and I cannot thank you guys all enough for the ever-continued support on this wee little channel that I set up so many years ago, and of course only really started taking it seriously over the last couple of years, but I enjoy it so much, and I cannot thank you guys enough as always. But I guess I don't really know now how to intro these videos, because of course normally we've got to try and sort of, you know, we've been pushing to try and get to 100k for so long, that I guess now I've got to say please subscribe so I don't go back under? I don't know, maybe we'll start trying that out. But of course, like I said, if you missed out on the Brazilian GP that went live last weekend, there will be spoilers pretty much now, so yeah, go back and check that out. And of course, we wrapped up the Drivers' World Championship that weekend. 26 points clear of Max Verstappen. Of course, we didn't actually know whether we would wrap up the title in that race, but the Dutchman has taken 4 wins across the year. I have taken 6, if my maths hasn't failed me there. So even if Max was to win this Grand Prix with fastest lap, we'd be tied on points if I didn't finish. And then I'd still wrap up the title, of course, because we take it by virtue of more wins. Constructors' Championship is still technically available to us, but we've got to score 41 points, so we're basically relying on a Red Bull double DNF. But of course, you know, I've seen a few comments by you guys as well saying, you know, why don't you continue this for Season 3, you know, try and defend the crown. Honestly, I've always said with these Road to Glories that once I've won the Drivers' World Championship, that is me kind of done with them. I've got a few other series that I want to try and sort of start and work on before F1 2023 releases in the summer, which I think you guys are going to love nonetheless. But of course, you know, we've wrapped up the title, so we're going to do a 100% race starting from the back here in Abu Dhabi. Let's get into it. Let's head down trackside and see last to question mark challenge finish off this series with a bang.
It's time then for one final race in this year's Formula One World Championship. 2010 saw 4 drivers in contention for the title coming into this race, with Sebastian Vettel prevailing to become the youngest world champion to date. Is there one last sting in the tail awaiting us today? Well, it's time to find out. Here at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. The Yas Marina circuit is made up of 3.28 miles of track, featuring 16 corners with 2 very long straights. DRS zones going into the heavy braking zones of both Turn 5 and Turn 7 offer plenty of potential for overtaking. The circuit comes with its fair share of tricky corners, which will certainly test a driver's braking management. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and a very happy Carlos Sainz will start second. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Perez, Hamilton, George Russell and Magnussen. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Norris, Ricciardo, Verstappen and Valtteri Bottas. Tsunoda, Stroll, Mick Schumacher and Latifi. Albon, Joe, Pierre Gasly and Sebastian Vettel. Mr. Monaco, they've taken a grid penalty and Esteban Ocon lines up at the back of the grid. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today? Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box, and it's fantastic to have you with us here, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the rundown into Turn 1, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It will keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
Okay, this is the last race of the season. We need points today to have a chance of taking the Constructors' title.
And just to remind you guys, Red Bull need to get one of their cars inside the top 8, and they will be Constructors' Champions. So certainly, you know, we're going to need a miracle today, if that's going to be the case there. But when it comes to strategy, don't really know where the team want us to go with it, to be honest. I don't know how well the tyres are going to last. Fancy... Well, apparently that's already quicker than what the game wanted us to do, so that's rather impressive. But yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll start on the mediums, we'll go softs later on, and then we'll see how far we go in this GP there. Interesting to see we get a safety car, final race of the year. Lots of penalties around the grid. We've just strapped a whole fresh engine to the back of the car, and apparently we'd almost not clicked on the right strategy either, but... Yeah, final race then of the F122 Haas Road to Glory. We're not even actually starting from the back because Ocon has picked up some penalties as well. But I guess that means that we won't get any glitched AI spinning around because it's normally P19 or P21 that they spin from. Around in the final couple of corners, and of course Sergio Perez's last ever Formula 1 race as well, remember. Different driver retirements to real-life Formula 1. You can see Sebastian Vettel still kicking around in his Aston Martin. No sign yet of retirement from the German, but trying to make sure that we line up nicely in our grid mark. That's pretty good going. Everyone around is starting on softs. Final race of the F122 Haas Road to Glory. 5 red lights. Nice lights out, and away we go then. Not really too worried about what I do off the start. We've got a lot of time today to make up places this afternoon, and of course heading down in towards turn 1. That looks like Esteban Ocon wants to try and get to the inside of Sebastian Vettel and Pierre Gasly. Of course, 3 race winners side by side through those first couple of turns, with a 4th just waiting in the wings as all Ocon and Seb their tiny bit of contact. Perhaps the German, you know, wily old fox, just putting the young Frenchman back in his place there to see other cars just moving around. Sebastian Vettel there up a handful of spots as we now get a little bit of side by side contact with Esteban Ocon as we head out onto the back straight. Then what is the straight line speed going to compare to these AI? Pretty well. I mean, obviously Abu Dhabi now with the new layout so fast. You really have got to try and make sure you've got a good straight line package there, as Gasly sort of sat pondering his life choices in the middle of the road. We'll get around the outside of him. Oh, a little bit of contact there between myself and the Frenchman, as we're going to be 3 wide again off the corner then with both Frenchmen as we head down in towards Sector 3. Looks like Ferrari, of course, started 1-2 in this Grand Prix, have hung on there. Is all Latifi, and I think that was Mick Schumacher side by side in the Williams cars, as we're still side by side with Esteban Ocon heading down in towards the final sector. We're going to have to lunge it to the inside of Sebastian Vettel just way earlier on the brakes than I was ever expecting, as we ran through the final couple of turns then of lap 1. Of course, Charles Leclerc can still finish 2nd in this championship to myself if he beats out Max Verstappen, but it is his teammate Carlos Sainz who leads the way at the end of lap 1. We've gained a few spots there, up at a P17, so certainly not bad going. Next up is Zhou Guanyu. I mean, normally when I do a championship finale like this, there's a little bit of nostalgia as I go past most of the other cars, or hopefully go past most of the other cars. Zhou Guanyu, of course, whoa, that was close. We'll get round him, but of course famously took that win back in Season 1 of this series at Imola, just his 4th ever Formula 1 Grand Prix. It was one of the earliest ever wins for a rookie driver in the sport. Hasn't quite relived those highs ever since then, but certainly was a weekend to remember. Of course, took it away from myself, I think, with a lap to go that afternoon. It could have been shock victories for either of the rookies that came in, but yeah, Zhou Guanyu and Alfa Romeo have certainly not seen the success as the other Ferrari-powered cars this series. It's been a bit of a shame for him, but he's still certainly proved his worth. Next up, Lance Stroll, the Canadian. Don't really know what. There's not a lot's really happened to Stroll this series, I suppose. You know, still down at Aston Martin, just kicking around doing his thing. Hasn't been completely outclassed by Sebastian Vettel, but certainly hasn't set the world alight either. See if we can try and get round him sooner rather than later, as DRS now enabled. Let's go for it, down the hill. The team just telling me about the battery to the outside of the Canadian. Tries to give me a bit of a squeeze. He'll try and do it again off the corner, but information on Alex Albon. Seems like he's got issues up the road. Look at that, the straight line speed we've got over the Aston Martin. Pull out of that corner like a steam engine. Are we going to see Albon being slow as well as we head through the next couple of corners? That might be slow off the turns. The way the AI seem to have issues on F122 can be rather weird on occasion, but as we head out onto the second of the back straights, Alex Albon, don't think he really wants to put up much of a fight. He has been absolutely electrifying though in this second season of this Road to Glory there. apparently he's also doesn't want anything to do with me. We're just going to get shuffled back through. Pierre Gasly's going to give me the place back. And now I've picked up front wing damage. Love that. Well, I can't believe I was literally saying that Albon was letting me by. Oh, really, Pierre? We've actually been muscled right the way to the back of the field. Oh, it's a good job this title's wrapped up, so I'm not really too, not as worried as normal as to what happens, especially when both Red Bulls are still doing pretty well there. But I've just been shuffled back to the rear of the field again. I desperately hope F123's AI have some element of backing out in corners, because F122 AI, they're literally all like the worst version of Max Verstappen when it comes to racing. Still seems like Alex Albon is holding up an absolute tea party as we head down the back straight. They're almost 3 wide. Is all the AI trying to go for it? Ocon just might have pulled off a triple overtake there, as we're going to try and get the run off the corner on Pierre Gasly. Definitely still haven't got the same grip as those soft compound runners, but we'll switch back then to the inside of the Frenchman. Second time I've gone past him today. Are we going to be able to try and get a run there? Oh, we're almost 4 wide. That was not quite where I wanted to be through the next corner, as Ocon and Zhou Guanyu are going to try and squeeze Alex Albon out. He has been shuffled back again. Whoa! Zhou Guanyu, though, just trying to cover me off, and Albon will sneak back by. This is, very aggressive racing for early on in the championship finale, and with absolutely nothing to play for at the moment when it comes to points. Looking at the minimap, though, looks like Magnussen has moved forward there, as well as Sergio Perez. They've shuffled the Mercedes back slightly. Really has been a bit disappointing year by Merck, but when am I going to get out of this whole backmarker train? Hang on, Alex Albon once more to the inside will go. Of course, yeah. Turned in on, why not, eh? P17. I was here on lap 1. Oh, this race. What is this race going to turn into? Well, Zhou Guanyu is just about hanging on inside the DRS of Ocon and Stroll up the road, but he's certainly not going to get the same effect I am from it. To the outside of the Chinese driver once again. Just going to try and keep it there on the brakes, but you know what? We'll just, squeeze him out through the second part of the corner. Stroll and Ocon now side by side just in front of us as well. They continue on this strap, but I think Ocon will get the job done there. That Alpine car's still tremendously fast down the straight. Stroll going to try and keep the nose in there, though, as well. Have a look around the outside of the pair of them in towards the hairpin. Stroll will be compromised on the exit. We're going to be side by side with the Canadian. So we head down in through sector 3. Oh, we get just out on the curb, and we'll actually get a warning for track limits there. It's early on in the day. We may as well sort of test whether those things work or not. No harm, no foul. The good thing about having that side-by-side battle with Sir Lancelot is the fact he has lost some time to Ocon at the road, which should make him even easier pickings. I think once we've got past the Canadian... Hello. Yeah, we should now... Might be a little bit calmer for the next few laps, as long as I don't do anything silly. Absolutely mad, though. That back straight I don't think is particularly long on F122. And we're still doing 214 miles an hour down there. That is staggering. This thing is like a dragster. I think Ocon now might just be within the range of Nicholas Latifi in front of him. I'm amazed so far. Of course, because all of us have been tripping over each other so much, Williams just kind of had an opportunity to... Oh, come on, Ocon. They've just had an opportunity to try and just match the pace of the cars in front of them. I think it's Daniel Ricciardo in the McLaren still in front of the pair. But yeah, I'm going to P14 we go. We've finally made our way around all of those really slow cars. As soon as we get past the Williams and Ricciardo, we're then pretty much at the points. Well, I'm not sure what sort of defence Nicholas Latifi is going to be able to put up against us, but of course, yeah, Williams by far and away the weakest lineup on the Season 2 grid there. Of course, my old teammate Mick Schumacher had to head over after Alex Albon took the place vacated by Fernando Alonso down at Alpine. So yeah, Mick, to be honest, quite lucky that he was able to maintain his seat, unlike what he was able to do in real-life Formula 1 there, but he might now be able to get a run on Daniel Ricciardo as we head down this second of the 2 back straights once again. Now he's closing in on the Australian, but can't do anything about it. I'll actually nudge the curbing and horrendous understeer through the next corner. Careful that we don't come together with another Alpine through that hairpin. But where does Ocon keep appearing from? Wherever I go in this race, well, apparently he's barging me out. He just always seems to be there. Ocon, mate, just go away. Whoa, whoa. Nicholas Latifi there locking up. Ocon now is going to get an opportunity to the inside of the Canadian, and will hopefully get the benefit of the double slipstream. Was not expecting that to go down as we went into the hairpin. Mick Schumacher as well, trying to look around the outside of Ricciardo as well, just take 2. They're standing still down the first half of those back straights. Are we now going to get close enough to Ricciardo to potentially get a run down the second of the straights? I think we'll be too far back, unless the Australian is struggling, which, looking at that straight line speed, I would guess he is. Gaining on both he and the German in front of him. Again, we'll run very, very wide through the hairpin. Ocon, though, luckily this time around is not going to be close enough, and we should get a really good run off the turn to the inside of Daniel Ricciardo there, who sees me in the mirrors. I think panicked and jumped out of the way. Was not expecting that one. Was Danny Rick, and we are now into P12. Okay, already seen cars into the pits then as well at the end of that lap, so we are going to be out ahead of Max Verstappen in this Grand Prix, and looks like the AI might therefore be gone for that 3-stop strategy of soft mediums. Very, very weird call, to be completely honest. My mediums are feeling beautiful at the moment to the inside of Mick Schumacher. I don't think we've ever seen an overtake down into that hairpin before, both in real life and on F122. But now we've got to break away from the German and hope that he keeps Verstappen at bay. With all the other cars then into the pit lanes, we should have a rough idea of where we are then in this race. I think we'll come out right with Kevin Magnussen, to be completely honest, but I'm intrigued to see how we'll get on with these older tyres. Some are on soft, some are on medium. Charles Leclerc has gone on to mediums. Look like Magnussen has gone softs, but Perez has also gone mediums. As now it is Red Bull, Haas, Red Bull. Because I don't think it'll be long before the Dutchman's trying to line up a move on me. Is he going to have a look to the inside at the hairpin? No, he's not, and thank God for that, because PTSD and all that. He might, however, be able to get a run out onto the back straight. Let's see how competitive that Red Bull's looking. Going to use plenty of battery to try and keep him at bay. I think Verstappen has admitted defeat in that moment. Whoa! Max Verstappen there trying to go off the circuit to get around the outside of me. He's aware his championship hopes are done for, isn't he? He can't, if he beats me, he can't still win this thing. Maybe Red Bull haven't told him yet because they're worried about how he'll react, but... Oh, here we go. Yep, the Dutchman that time around will get to the inside. We'll try and make it awkward for him as best as possible. I think it might be worth just trying to stick to his gearbox. The, well, former championship rival, I suppose we should call him. I'm sure that wouldn't rustle his feathers at all. But Merck as well, after they've been quite disappointing a lot this year, seemingly back on the pace this weekend. We'll sit right then as we get closer to 1/3 distance in this Grand Prix, just dropping away from Max Verstappen ever so slightly at the moment and getting under more and more pressure from George Russell. I'm looking at the tyre wear though, that is not the line. I reckon we could go double soft from here to the end of the GP. Sorry, George. Turns out he's going for the Max Verstappen move there. Let's Hamilton by as well in the process. AI are really feisty today as we'll try and get a run on Hamilton back off the corner. I'm not really sure it's going to be worth doing anything here. We'll just back out of that. But yeah, I mean, look at the tyres. We're only at 30% wear on these mediums. I'm sort of thinking in my head, if we go hitting the end of 22, we could do 18 laps on both sets of soft compound tyres, and that will see us through to the end of the Grand Prix, of course. If the softs don't last that long, then I can just bolt on another fresh set of mediums to see us to the checkered flag. But that's kind of what I'm thinking at the moment. I'm just amazed the AI aren't going very far on them. Eh? It's exactly the same strategy as we're already doing. Why would you say that? Anyway, okay. Well, that's early as well, surprisingly. AI into the pits again then. So they reckon they can only do 10 laps on their soft compound tyres. We want to try and extend this stint a little bit further, but yeah, that is rather a large surprise, to be honest. Lando Norris taking a bit more time out of me. But yeah, these tyres are definitely, I think going off is probably a bit strong, but certainly not feeling as fresh as they once did. They have done over a third of this Grand Prix. Extended this first stint a little bit longer in this GP. I had also forgot, to be honest, of course, these tyres have taken a little bit more of a pounding because of the tiny bit of front wing damage that we picked up. So I'm going to let the team decide whether it's worth changing it or not, ready for the second half of this Grand Prix. But yeah, Ferrari's still comfortable out in front. Why is it every single season I do on this game, Ferrari come on strong late on in a campaign now? Of course, Season 1, I think, in both this and the My Team, Ferrari, of course, absolutely dominate. They then absolutely flop starting Season 2. And then every season from then on, they're kind of, you know, up towards the front of the midfield early on, and then absolute race winners late on in the campaign, but it's too late, so they can't do anything. Over and over and over there. Max Verstappen, new fastest lap of the day, sat on those mediums as well. And of course now we are going to be, hopefully, the fastest car on track. Team clearly don't believe it was worth changing that front wing, as there goes Lewis Hamilton. Should be out near to Esteban Ocon though, as we're trying to get temperature into these tyres. Through the pit lane we go here in Abu Dhabi, and Ocon will actually be out in front of me. But for how long, I'm sure is the question. Well, if your answer was about 6 corners, you might be right here as we try and get a run on Ocon down the back straight there, wedging the car over that curbing. Praying that it will grip up on this fresh set of the softs, and we'll try and get a run off the corner to the inside like we did on Daniel Ricciardo. Ocon though doesn't want to make it so easy for us, and that will be rather, a send and a half, I think is probably the way to describe that one. I'm sure the Frenchman probably not too happy, but you know what, I'm having it. Well, I think effectively from here then, as we're almost at half distance, most of the AI, I think I've got one more stop to do. But I wonder if a few of the cars that did them bolt on mediums at the first box, whether they've got 2 more stops to go in the second half of this Grand Prix. Well, there we go. Ferrari have just confirmed that to us. So they've got 1 more pit stop to make after this one. Carlos Sainz, I'm guessing that is into the pit lane. But yeah, now we've got a few lonely laps. 5 seconds up to George Russell, though. At the rate we're going, probably won't take that long to catch up. There we go. New fastest lap of the day. I'm sorry, of course, it's Hamilton that we're closing into. Not George Russell, although now it will be George Russell because he's pit. So either way, we're going to be trying to jump both Mercedes quite shortly, but yeah, I don't believe George Russell is going to be able to take those tyres. I'm sorry! Okay, I've got a 3-second time penalty to contend with as well. Apparently I'm throwing the rulebook out the window in the final race of this series. There we go. Lando Norris, I think the only other car outside of the rhythm then into the pit lane. He's doing a fantastic job so far in that McLaren, as he has done about the entirety of this series. But half distance unachieved here in Abu Dhabi. Still a long old way to go. It is a very, very long race, this one, even with the new track changes. So then Russell again fighting it out in this GP. They're going to go side by side through the chicane there, and what this does is brings us much closer to the pair of them. Hamilton, I think, on all the medium compound tyres than his teammate, but not wanting to give up without a fight there. The elder statesman puts one on the young proclaimer to the throne. But yeah, Hamilton stays in front of George for now. Hopefully we can get both of them. Here we go. Russell to the inside of Lewis Hamilton once again as we head up the back straight, and we've just got to sit back and try and get a really good run off of this chicane. There's so much performance still on these soft compound tyres. You know what, they're hanging on quite nicely as well at the moment, but will we be able to pick off both Mercedes in one go there? Hamilton again has got the DRS, but to the outside of the pair of them, and through will go like they're standing still. This Haas is an absolute missile down the straights there, and Hamilton won't know what's gone past him. I'm sure he'd be happy to hang on ahead of George again, but that's both Mercedes navigated in just one foul swoop. Slightly less of an achievement than it was, say, 2 years ago, though. Verstappen into the pit lane again. Kevin Magnussen into the pit lane again then. As I was just about to say, actually, the pace to K-Mag had pretty much stagnated around the 7-second mark. Sergio Perez is still pushing on quite aggressively at the moment. But are they, I'm guessing then, trying to go medium tyres to the end of the Grand Prix? Because it should mean that we've got slightly fresher, softer tyres to the end there. As I'm still really struggling out of that corner. I apologise, George Russell. Wasn't trying to throw a mean block on yourself, but yeah, at the moment we're just kind of sat in this, not exactly no man's land now, because we've got a Mercedes right on the trumpet. But yeah, we definitely are going to struggle to have the pace over sort of Perez, the Red Bulls and the Ferraris towards the end of this race. They just, of course, I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. Of course, back on the F1 2021, Williams Road to Glory, we had quite an issue actually towards the end of that series where I could only get so many upgrades on the car, but the team couldn't update the facilities enough to allow for more upgrades. So we're kind of at that point as well in the Haas Road to Glory, of course, not too as bad an extreme, where the last few races we really haven't had the car that's particularly quick, but we're just sort of able to snooker away good results there, and of course the AI tripping over each other has really allowed me, of course, to wrap it up a little bit early, but this, yeah, is genuinely the third fastest car on this grid, I'd say. George Russell I'll have a look down the inside at the end of the back straight. We should be able to get a run off the corner, but then I'll have the DRS. Here comes the Mercedes then. We'll try and force him down towards the inside. As the track then arcs over to the left anyway. Braking at the 100-metre ball. George Russell down the inside. He'll go. We've got to try and get back underneath. Oh, clip the bump there. That was a lot of hands swapping over ourselves, and unfortunately it's going to really cost us getting any sort of run off the corner. Got about 4 more laps on these sets of tyres, and yeah, they haven't done as well, understandably, as the mediums, but yeah, that all got a little bit dramatic for a moment. I'm trying to do the maths in my head at the moment. If Verstappen were to finish 5th in this Grand Prix, Charles Leclerc could still jump him in the Constructors' Championship. 300 points, sorry, the Drivers' Championship. 300 points currently for the Dutchman, 285 for Charles Leclerc, but I'm not convinced Leclerc's winning, and I'm not convinced Verstappen's going to come P5 either, to be completely honest. I think he's probably looking at P3 still, ahead of his teammate, but that being said, Checo Perez is 17 seconds up the road. His tyres really have fallen off over the last couple, but I've got to get him to the end of 41, so we can do equal stints in the second half of this race there. Max Verstappen to the inside. Going to really try and squeeze me, but of course we're never going to make the fight easier than we absolutely have to. Oh, a little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact there as the Dutchman. Don't say it often, but Max Verstappen backs out. Whoa, Max Verstappen again, having a look to the inside. Certainly didn't feel there was a car's width there, but he clearly had so much more grip than myself. Oh, great. Wonderful. Oh, don't take out my teammate. Oh, avoid the wall, come on. That, yeah, really has put a dampener towards the end of this race. Just Max Verstappen clearly want to try and make moves work, and of course, you know, no one would ever be able to hook it around the outside there, but the Dutchman trying it, and of course we're the one that gets wrecked by it as well. Still got to pick once more though, we'll still come in the end of the next lap, but yeah, that really has thrown a spanner into the works. Like I said, I think the only thing that could really change the outcome up here would be if we got a safety car in the final 15 or so laps. But that would never happen in Abu Dhabi. End of 41, into the pits will come then for the final time, hopefully, ever in this Haas car on F122. Rounding through the final corner, up into the lane. Make sure we get it slowed down nice and tidy. It would be nice if we could serve these 3-second penalties as well in the pit lane, but I understand why you can't on F122. Let's just wait and see those. We head into the box. Can we get... Oh, they're putting on mediums. Oh, dearie me. I forgot to change it. Alright, well, okay, but at least the tyres won't be so shredded by the end of this race. But, again, we're going to be close on exit with Esteban Ocon. Oh, no. I did not know that's what it would do. Okay. Well, we've just teleported on F122. I guess that answers the question then. What happens if you spend it on pit exit here? Did not have my money on that. Oh, Ocon! Oh, Ocon's just looped it around right in front of me. I was just about to say we were closing in on the Frenchman. I got a little bit scared then as to where he was going to re-emerge in this race. But 15 laps to go then here in Abu Dhabi. And to be honest, we've got 23 seconds up to Hamilton up the road. Lando Norris 30 seconds clear. That might be all she wrote this afternoon in Abu Dhabi. I mean, like I said, unless we get the safety car or some mechanical issues for other cars, this might be us now to the flag. We've got yellow flags out. Looks like one of the Alfa Romeos. No, it's a Ferrari. I think they've just spun round though, and it's not going to change the order whatsoever. There's just that little part of me that's going, go on, give us a safety car. Make things exciting towards the end of this race. But rounding our way then to start the final 2 laps of this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. And I tell you what, the second half of this race, I think dramatic is probably the last word you would use to describe it. Racing in no man's land at the moment. Tsunoda 20 seconds back, Lewis Hamilton 16 seconds up the road. But it has been, you know, nice to reflect over the course of this series. You know, I love doing these Road to Glory, you know, something a little bit different, something that not many people do on the F1 game still as well, of course. You know, I absolutely love the Williams one. Probably, to be completely honest, I think because of the history behind Williams and things like that as well, and the fact, you know, I still have got a big soft spot for them. I did love that series, and F1 2021. You know, those cars on that game were absolutely insane as well. But, you know, this Haas Road to Glory has certainly been brilliant fun as well, of course. Kickstarted this alongside my team right back when this game first came out last summer. you know, we cannot thank Gunther and Jean enough for the opportunity to drive for the team there, of course. They had their worst ever year in 2021. Mick Schumacher and Nikita Mazepin last overall. No points scored for the first time in Haas's history. Mazepin was kicked to the curb. We then got the join and took the step up from Formula 2 to join this Haas organisation, and very quickly it became clear to them not only was Mazepin awful, but Mick Schumacher was hardly all that either. Of course, took that shock victory at the Dutch Grand Prix last year. You know, Gunther Steiner, I still would love to know what he's going to be like if, and I hope it is a case of when, Haas win a Formula 1 Grand Prix, because I really do think this team deserve much more success in Formula 1 as well. But, you know, in this series, honestly, as a world champion, our stats aren't that incredible. Only 8 wins to our name in this career mode. Of course, across the 2 years, I think we've had even less pole positions than that, though, to be completely honest. But, you know, for a second season in Formula 1, 6 Grand Prix victories is hardly something to snuff at either. Charles Leclerc will win the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, the final race of the year. Ferrari, once again, will come on strong, but it is far too late. Carlos Sainz will complete a 1-2 then for the organisation. I think Max Verstappen's going to come through for P3. They're just ahead of his teammate Checo Perez in his final ever Formula 1 outing. Kevin Magnussen in P5 goes to showcase, to be honest, this car was probably the 3rd best team this weekend there. Lando Norris, a magnificent effort by him to beat out both of the Mercedes as well there. But, you know, not quite the right strategy for us. Maybe the front wing damage has cost us as well throughout most of the afternoon. But honestly, I was half expecting to get into this and get an engine failure on lap 5. So the fact we've made it through to the checkered flag, I really cannot complain about. Rounding the final corners here in Abu Dhabi, the championship was already wrapped up. Max Verstappen, though, certainly hasn't done enough today to really hassle us for it through the final turn. I want to thank you all for watching the Haas Road to Glory. But as we round out the final corner, that is the series complete.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
That's it then, they've taken the win here as we wrap up another fantastic Formula 1 season. So, Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
And here we are, a team that is no stranger to the podium, taking their place on top once again. A sublime race today, and a stunning win for Ferrari. Well, not the result our points leader would have wanted, but it certainly makes things interesting going forward. Some amazing talent out on the track today. But Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
I have to give it to Mr. Monaco. They fought so hard and had incredible pace at times, so I don't think anyone else did a better job today.
And it's another title in the bag for Red Bull after a long and hard-fought season. They built an astonishing car this year, and the glory they'll be taking back to Milton Keynes is fully deserved. Well, what an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
Well, there we are then, the end of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Charles Leclerc takes the dub ahead of Sainz, but it was actually Perez in his final ever Formula 1 outing that will get the last spot on the podium there. Kevin Magnussen, Lando Norris, George Russell, Hamilton and myself there, all 4 Brits in a line with Yuki Tsunoda. A very, very good job to finish out the year for him and AlphaTauri there. Every car made it to the checkered flag. Sebastian Vettel 2 laps down the end. I'm sure a bit disappointing for him. But championship-wise, of course, it does mean if we had an extra race, it would actually be a 3-way scrap again for the world title, which I think is rather funny there. Perez in P4 ahead of Norris. Magnussen did just hang on ahead of Carlos Sainz there for P6 overall in the title. Russell beat out Hamilton with Albon rounding out the top 10 there. You can see Ricciardo, Esteban Ocon, Gasly, Sebastian Vettel, Tsunoda, Bottas, Schumacher, Zhou, and then it was just the Canadians of Stroll and Latifi unable to score. Constructors-wise, though, yeah, we couldn't really do anything about Red Bull in that final race there. Ferrari did get a whole lot closer, but certainly nothing to worry about as well. And I think P2 in the Constructors' Championship, we really can't complain about all too much there as well. But there we go then. The end of our F122 Haas Road to Glory. We have brought glory to Haas. I'm sure Gunther Steiner very, very happy with that as well. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed. Again, a massive thank you as well to everyone for 100,000 subscribers. But we will be back very, very soon with more F1 My Team. And like I said, I got another series in the works that I think you guys are going to love. None of these videos would be possible without the help of our channel members, so a massive thank you to all of the names you see on your screens currently for helping support the channel. You can join them by clicking the join button down below, and yeah, thank you once again to everyone that continues all the insane support on my work.